Hey guys, Kevin Shaw here, Editor-in-Chief of Mopar Connection Magazine. Today we're going to be doing a couple upgrades on our 505 cubic inch Stroker 440 motor, as well as a couple corrections. Thankfully, a couple of you guys in the comment section on our previous video that I'll link up here in the corner picked up on a few things that I cut some corners on or simply was in a rush, and we're going to make those changes here, as well as needing to make one major upgrade in regards to crankcase ventilation. With the cast trick flow valve covers, they were simply too nice for me to want to cut up. So what we did instead is that we reached out to our friends at PRW USA, who sent us a couple of their fabricated aluminum valve covers. As you can see, they're baffled and they come with a really nice two-piece breather on both valve cover. And we're going to show you more in detail on how these guys come together and how well these pieces work. We're going to put these on, we're going to get it prepped for paint, but I'm not sure if we're going to be able to paint it today because we're going to lose the weather in about 2 to 3 hours, and it's really hard to paint an engine when it's pouring rain outside. In addition to that, we also have something really special in celebration of 426 National Hemi Day, so stay tuned for that. That's something I'm really excited about, and I want to share it with you guys. The PRW valve covers are actually a really nice piece. You can see that they begin with a nice CNC cut base and then build up from there. Everything is beautifully TIG welded, and then they put a nice finish on it. It's a little bit of a satin finish. It has a little bit of a texture on it. There is a nice walled baffle that they put underneath so that you don't have any splash up on your breather. And the breather that they send is actually a really cool billet two-piece unit that unscrews. And you can see it's got a little foam insert, and then it's all drilled out. As it breathes up through here and out through the foam. You screw those together and you're all set. It's a little easier to put the gasket on first before cramming this guy on. As you can see, well, it went on pretty easily. Forget what I said. I was wrong. But this is a really good piece. We're really excited for it. And it's going to allow the engine to breathe a lot better than our sealed trick flow valve covers. That's not taking away from the trick flow valve covers, but until we can figure out either a way to make the valley pan breathable, or God forbid drill holes into the trick flow cast valve covers, we just really wanted to make sure that the engine was able to scuff off that positive crankcase pressure, and these are going to help us out. These are still really a nice piece, and we hate to get rid of them. We're not going to. We're just going to hang on to these for a while, but they are significantly heavier than the PRW aluminum pieces, and they're really, really stout. I just don't want to drill a hole through them just yet, and so we're going to hang on to these trick flows and hang them up on the wall for the time being. Thankfully, our Felpro gasket looks great. We have no problem with it. Everything is sitting really nicely, and we're just going to reuse this like we would normally. In addition to the valve covers, PRW supplies you with all of the hardware. The big flat washers and the locks are going to go in the corners because they have the biggest perch right there. So we're going to put them right there and just do it finger tight. Okay, valve cover goes on at 6 pounds. There we go. Okay. Nice. Nice. Beautiful. All right. Now, something that was noted in the comments section was that I actually managed to install the fuel pump cam upside down. And so we gotta have to pull this out, and we're gonna show you why it's important to have it reversed. And definitely want to thank the commenter who brought this to my attention simply was a brain fart on my end, and so I want to thank you guys for being eagle-eyed when it came to putting this one together. Now with a flashlight, it's easier to see, but the brass end is supposed to be in contact with the camshaft, not the other way around. So we're going to reverse this real nice and easy, guide it right back up into the journal, and yeah, we'll just give it a poke with this. Boop! Alright, we're in good shape. Careful to get inside. There we are. Oh yeah, that was easy. That was easy. Unfortunately, the next thing I've got to do is pull the water pump, pull the balancer, and pull the timing cover so that I can get the cam thrust button, pull that one out because it's in there loose, and we're going to have to find a way to reverse it and seat it into the timing gear. Unfortunately, we're probably going to have to clearance a little bit of the cam button and maybe a little bit of the inside hole on the timing gear. This is going to take a little bit of time to pull off. I'm going to save you the trouble of watching the whole process of pulling everything off, but we'll get you inside of the timing cover and show you what we're going to be doing there. I had originally put it in there loose, and a lot of guys are like, listen, that thing is going to just wear everything itself apart. It's going to wear itself apart. It's going to wear the timing gear apart. It's going to push against the timing cover. It's going to wreck hell inside of your engine. You can't have it loose in there. So we're going to fix that right now before we ever take this to the dyno. And just yard sailed all that. Thankfully the gaskets still look good. So a quick tip for you guys who are looking to get the damper bolt free. Believe it or not, it might be a little easier when it's in the car. That is if the radiator's out, because that way you can put a puller on it. With the radiator in, it's going to be a lot tougher. The only reason I say that is because the transmission is bolted up to the back flange of the crank, and that way your crank's not going to be freewheeling while you sit there trying to break this free. Now, if it is out of the car like we are right here, the trick is if you could get a small screwdriver or any sort of tool into one of the bolt holes on the flange where it locks up against the casting on the block, and that way you can pop this free and it's going to come right out. I say this out of experience because I've just been fighting for the last 5 minutes and realized, oh, I got to hold the crank on the back. So here we are. Are you there? There she is. Woo! Almost took the whole puller. My goodness. Alrighty. And lo and behold, here's our cam button that just fell right out. So we're gonna have to clean up all this. We clearly lost the bottom gasket. That's the cost of screwing up. You gotta find new gaskets. So here's the problem, is that I had placed it in here loosely, expecting the timing cover to keep it pressed. The problem is that there's still enough room for it to be in eccentric and start wearing out. Now, unfortunately, comp does not measure the precise size of their timing gear versus their cam button. What I'm thinking I'm going to do is pull the timing gears off, timing chain, pull this out, and I'm going to try to just scroll with a paper scroll and open that up just a hair, just enough that I can press that guy in. Beautiful. All right. Sorry to skip ahead. I wasn't going to show you me grinding on all this because I'm sure a few of you will not approve, but we're in very nicely. This is just a mock-up, obviously the chain isn't here. I wanted to be able to see that we could tighten everything down, and with the cam button in, because sometimes the cam button is so big you can't even get your cam bolts even tightened down. So thankfully we can get a boxed in wrench on these. We can tighten them all up, and it's going to take a few turns, but that's all right. So next we're going to take this back off. We'll clean all of our surfaces off. We have new gaskets, and we'll put our timing cover back on after we get our timing chain on, and put our balancer back on, and get our water pump back on. Free spins, it's in there nice and tight. All of our surfaces have been cleaned. Since the oil pan gasket also incorporates the front here where the timing cover would go, and that's gone, we're going to use a little bit of RTV. We're going to use the Permatex Right Stuff. I've had tremendous luck with this. It kicks really fast. It builds up really well. So we're going to use this. I'm going to run a nice bead right here. I'm also going to do a little bit of finger painting, get a nice tacky surface right here. And then we're going to put the gasket on, and then I will sandwich the other side of the timing cover with another thin layer and sandwich it all together, and we should have a really good seal that way. So let's get going on this. A lot of you guys might think I'm crazy to be using so much of this, but again, we are lacking a paper gasket for the bottom. And I'm not going to leave anything to chance, especially here in these corners that really like to leak. These are trouble spots. Meanwhile, I'm going to run a nice bead all the way around. So I'm going to start doing the same on this side. Not as heavy, don't need to, but just get a nice tacky seal. Once this tacks up a little bit, I'll put the paper gasket on the cover, and then we'll sandwich it all together. Just no rush, nice and slow. All right. And away we go. Just have to line it up with the dowels. And we'll squish those corners in. That'll help. Because I hate leaks. I hate them. I hate them. Well, as you can tell, we got rained out. I got the fan blowing. Charger is out in the rain. Ugh. You can see all of the raindrops all over this primer. So we're gonna see what this looks like tomorrow. I got the manifold down there. The things you do to try to make stuff look pretty, right? I'm sure a lot of you guys are mad at me. I'm mad at me. I hate having the car out in the rain. But I need the garage for one more thing for this video, and then I'll bring the car back in and wipe it down. So as I wait for the primer to dry on the 505, I have something special here to celebrate National Hemi Day. That's 4/26, April 26th. Now at the time of this recording, it's a few days away, but you guys might be seeing it before or after Hemi Day. So either way, let's talk about 426 Hemis. The one thing that I've always wanted for my 69 Charger, of course, has been the legendary 426 second generation Hemi. Had some opportunities to do maybe a Hellcat swap and even a Demon engine swap, but I always turned those down. When it came to the 69 Charger, when it came to Project Brazen, that car needed to have a true second generation 426 Hemi. Now, I've never been one to really worry about numbers matching anything for that matter on my car. This was never a real RT. I was building it just the way I've always wanted a 69 Charger to be. And in that case, I really wanted that final goal of building a second generation Hemi. I wanted a big old school pachyderm. And I had my hands on some parts over the years, but they really weren't the right fit, or they really weren't going to work out. And so I had to let some stuff go. I had shown you guys almost over a year ago for National Hemi Day the engine block that I got my hands on. It was one of the tooling bucks for the Muscle Motors Mega Block. And that block had some fixes in it, had some brazing, but I took it over to Shacklett's Automotive. They put it on their testing bench. They did all the leak down tests. They did everything necessary to make sure that the block was sound. Then we had the block punched out to 4.5-inch bore, and to have that block ready to take a 4.5-inch stroke swing, and that would bring us up to a 572. A big 4.5-inch stroke crank, a big 7/100 length rod, and a 4.5-inch bore. Boom, here we go, 572 action. So that was always going to be the goal, was a giant Hemi motor for this car. We got the block, but I was really stuck waiting for what was available. Now, in working with the recipe that I was given from August Cedar Strand, we were looking at doing a big streetable 800+, maybe 850 horsepower on 93 octane. That's going to be a really stout combination, especially being naturally aspirated. But the one thing that we were waiting for, the one thing that was on back order for years and years and years, were the Edelbrock Hemi heads. And I'm going to open up these heads right here live on camera. And I'm telling you, I've been waiting 5 days to record this. It's been the craziest week, and I've been waiting to open up these boxes. So here we go. Let's do it right now in front of everyone. There we go. Let's get rid of you. Guys, you have no idea how long I've been waiting for these. I have been on the waiting list for so long. I've been on the waiting list for so long. I think I put the order in for these back in 2018. Yeah, maybe late 2018. So we're looking at over 4.5 years. Here we go. All right, here we go. Calm down. Oh, there she is. Here we go. Styrofoam, get out of here. Get out of here. Instructions. Instructions. Prepare to make all sorts of horsepower. Made in USA. One of the best things about Edelbrock. You gotta love it, guys. Victor Jr. CNC cylinder heads for Chrysler 426 to 572 Hemi. Good, here's our specifications. Here, let me zoom in. I'm gonna show you the specs. Here's the spec sheet right there. Let's talk about specifications. All right. Combustion chamber volume 170 cc. Valve size, intake 2.320, exhaust 1.940. Valve seats hardened ductile iron, non-interlocking, compatible with unleaded fuel. Valve spring diameter a 1.540. Valve spring installed height 1.880. Valve spring seat pressure. Okay, they give you some suggestions here. All right. Hydraulic roller cam 150 pounds or 151 pounds at 1.880. Flat tappet cam 133 pounds at 1.880. Valve spring open pressure hydraulic roller cam 414 pounds at 600 lift. Flat tappet cam 349 pounds at 600 lift. Maximum valve lift 700 thousandths, and coil bind at 1.120. Well, looks like I better go on to Summit and order my ARP bolt kit for the Hemi head, because look at this, they even give you the rubber O-rings for the spark plug tubes. But let's take this out of the box. Oh, guys, I know there's a lot of argument about big blocks versus small blocks, and you know, there's guys out there who swear all day long that, you know, they walked on a real 426 Hemi back in the day in a, you know, a 346 pack or even a small block Chevrolet or blah 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 blah. Yeah, and you know what? I've seen the numbers. The bone stock 426 Hemis back in the day were dogs. I know, they came with dog cams. They were dogs. I know, but it's still a Hemi. Hemis are Hemis. There's a reason it's legendary. Look at this. Look at this. This is heaven. It's the size of a grapefruit. I really got to thank the guys at Edelbrock. Edelbrock stepped up. They're helping us out with this project. These heads wouldn't have happened without the guys at Edelbrock. We're incredibly excited. Very, very grateful to be working with Edelbrock. Don't get me wrong, building a Hemi ain't nothing cheap, and it's not something a lot of guys can do. I understand it. It's way outside the normal guy's budget, and this is something that I'm blessed to do with partnership with Edelbrock. So this is something I'm really excited to do. This is something that has been a long, long, long time coming and a big dream of mine, and I am just absolutely elated. We're going to be running a single plane manifold. It was going to be the Ray Barton. The Ray Barton makes the most power, but it is a 4500 flange. And I want to keep our fuel injection that we've got already on the Charger, because that fuel injection is capable of handling over 1,000 horse. And we're still way underneath that. We're at least 200 horse underneath the maximum on the Fast Easy EFI 2. So we're going to be keeping that 4150 flange. So that means we're going to be going with the Indy Cylinder Heads single plane manifold, because it is a 4150 flange. It's very close to the Ray Barton, and it has similar runners. And I know we're going to take a little bit of a hit, especially varying from the recipe that I've been given. But I'm pretty confident that we can make the power that we need elsewhere using some really trick pistons and getting some lightweight rods. And my thinking is really make it up in the camshaft, and that's something that I'm excited about. We're going to have a solid roller camshaft made for us that is really going to knock our socks off. It's really going to be something really cool. So hang tight for that. What I want to do right now is mock this up on the engine block with a few other parts that I've got, and we'll get our Hemi just pretending to be together for at least right now, at least in celebration of National Hemi Day. Okay, so I've gone ahead, put the block back on the stand, mounted the heads on. I've only got about 2 or 3 bolts holding it. Again, I need to order my ARP bolt kit. I do have these fantastic cast Mopar Performance valve covers that were gifted to me from our friend Jim Hannon, who picked them up when he cleared out an old gentleman's garage several years ago. He had a bunch of Hemi stuff, and Jim was like, I'm never building a Hemi. So he simply gave these over to me. So it's really good to have Mopar friends, I will tell you that. And these heads are looking real good, and they look even better with the valve covers on. I'm pretty excited. I do have a timing cover that I picked up from Uncle Tony that just needs to be ran through the sandblaster. I'm gonna clean this up, make it look real nice. I already have an aluminum water pump, haven't mounted it on yet. Also need to buy more hardware for that. Gonna get all new nice ARP bolts for everything. Really want to make this one the primo engine. So aluminum water pump, I think I'll change this out. This is a cast pump. The housing is aluminum, but I want to get an aluminum pump as well. And we'll be trading out some stuff here and there. Unfortunately, I did discover something. The valve train that I picked up over a year ago, these simply won't work. Believe it or not, this is an older stage 5 head valve train, and they will not, under any circumstances, work on this on the Edelbrock heads. So I'm gonna end up putting these up for sale, trying to find a new home for them, and that's okay. But it does mean that I need to go back onto the trail to find some either used race stuff or some decently priced pedestal mounts, shafts, and roller rockers. So that is, to the guys who know, one of the most expensive things when it comes to Hemis is the valve train. The valve train is just so costly. So in addition to finding replacement valve train, I got to get moving on getting a crankshaft, rods, and pistons. Now August, who gave us the recipe for our big 572, he hinted at a very unique piston design which he created back in the day when he was competing in Engine Masters. We're thinking we're going to follow that, but it's going to take us a while to get our hands on those, if at all. So stay tuned for that. We'll get you a lot of information on the kind of piston that we're going to be using on this, because ultimately it's going to come down to the piston design and it's going to come down to our camshaft. And if we have those two things dialed, everything else is cake, and we're making well over 800 horsepower on the street, pump gas with fuel injection in a 69 Dodge Charger. Guys, I cannot emphasize, this is my ultimate dream. This right here, this beautiful, beautiful thing has been my dream for at least 20-25 years. So I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as I am. I know this is super early. I know this is just the beginning of something, and ultimately it's just a big love letter to a set of cylinder heads. But I hope you're as excited as I am and you want to see this build. I mean, yeah, we built some really cool big stroker motors and we run them on the street all day long and we have a blast and roast some tires. But now we're dealing with Hemis, guys. Hemis! Alright, so guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, leave a comment, and share it with your friends. It'll really help us grow the channel. And if you want more awesome content that you don't have to pay for, please go visit us at www.moparconnectionmagazine.com, where new articles are written and published every day, Monday through Friday, entirely subscription free to you. We'll see you there.